What's up guys, I'm BTC, welcome back to the Respawn, where I answer your questions. I know this video is a little bit late, okay, it's a lot late, but last weekend I was really sick, probably sicker than I've been in a very long time. I was so dizzy at one point I just couldn't stand up. It wasn't very pleasant at all. Earlier this week, it was pretty busy and hectic, and I just really haven't had time to get the video done. But here it is. Also, yesterday, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you had a good one. Let's get into the questions. First up, how would you solve the leaver problem in Overwatch? Imagine queuing for 15 minutes only for someone to leave. Yeah, that's really frustrating. Generally, I don't play DPS in competitive. I just do the 5 placements and then that's it. I don't feel like waiting 15 minutes for a queue. So I'll just play tank or healer, and that's like a less than a 1-minute queue sometimes. But certainly, I've seen those matches and they get canceled because someone leaves. And I always think, man, those DPS, they had to wait like 10, 15 minutes. And now, like, they got to wait again. Like, that's got to be so frustrating. So for competitive, I think what they can do for those early disconnects is they can just put everybody into a high priority queue, push them right to the front of the line, and make sure that they get into a match really fast. Or what they could do is they could just keep all 11 players together and then just grab someone else, slap them into the 12th slot, and start the match up again. I mean, there are a couple options that Blizzard could do, but certainly having the game get canceled and whatnot because one person gets disconnected is super frustrating, particularly when some people have 10, 15, 20-minute long queue times. Now, as far as people leaving in the middle of the match, like deliberately leaving, then there definitely needs to be more strict penalties. The problem is that Blizzard made the leaver penalties really, really lenient because they know that sometimes people are going to accidentally disconnect, or their internet's going to go out, or servers are going to have issues and all that sort of stuff. So they didn't want to overly punish people just because of one disconnect. However, on subsequent disconnects, there does need to be more strict penalties, and I think Blizzard definitely needs to step that up a little bit. Now, as far as the quick play side of things, there is another issue that I've seen where you wait 10 minutes to get into a quick play match sometimes as DPS. You get in there, and then what happens? Immediately, even if it's like 3 or 4 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever, it doesn't matter. You get into the match, and then what happens? Suddenly you get the victory or the defeat screen, and the match ends before you can even pick a character. And again, that's not very fun either. So on the quick play side of things, what they could do is allow players to disable backfill and give some little incentive to people who choose to leave it on. And that way maybe they get a little bit extra XP, or maybe they get some credits or something, kind of like the little bonuses that you get from the role queue itself, so if you're willing to leave the backfill on, then you get a little something extra. But for some people, particularly DPS, who have longer wait times in quick play, then just the ability to disable backfill so you always get a fresh match. All right, that was kind of a long one. I want to take a brief moment to thank today's sponsor, which is Audible. There's a bunch of extra stuff that I get to talk about today. So first of all, if you use the link down below, you get your free membership, you get a free audiobook to keep forever. You also get 2 Audible originals, which are free and you can keep forever. And right now they're running a Black Friday members-only sale with a whole bunch of different books that are as cheap as $5. But in order to get them at that super reduced price, you have to be a member. But that's not a big deal because you can use the link below and sign up for free. So you get the free audiobook, you get the Audible originals, and you also get to buy whatever other books you want for the next couple days for super, super cheap, only like $5. So it's a great deal. Go and check it out if you haven't already. Next question, should they create some new passive abilities as minor buffs to low-picked characters? Well, that would be a good start, but really I think that every hero in the game should have a passive. They don't need to be super strong, they can be very minor things, right? But having those extra passives would allow Blizzard to have another tool in the kit to help better balance the characters. And not just balance the characters versus other heroes, but also balance the characters in terms of lower bracket versus upper bracket, because certain heroes have some pretty big problems, and having passives would definitely help you with that. I'm probably going to talk about this more in a full video because this is a topic that I've wanted to address for a while, but there's some really cool things that they could do. So yeah, I do think that adding passives would be a good idea, not just for those low pick characters, but for all the characters. Next up, do you think you'll make an archive channel for your streams? So for those of you that don't know, I have been live streaming a little bit here on YouTube. Normally I would stream on Twitch, and that's what I've been using for the last couple years. But there's some changes to the YouTube streaming, and I wanted to try it out and test some things, so I've been trying to stream here. But as far as archiving the streams, probably not. Really, I mean, if you want to catch the stream, then just stop in. I'm going to try to make it so that I stream more on a regular basis, and it's probably going to be evenings or something like that, so you'll just be able to come by and chat live. Now, there's probably going to be Overwatch streams, and maybe I'll even throw in some World of Warcraft streams that are just kind of like more chill and laid back, where we can just kind of, you know, chat and hang out and that sort of deal. Next up, should maps give characters advantages? Example, Roadhog does more damage on Junkertown. No, absolutely not. No way. That would be, no. That would just mess up the game balance. You would both teams would absolutely have to use Roadhog every single time you're in Junkertown, and probably Junkrat as well, right? Because it's just what it would go. And I just don't think that's a good idea. Some characters already have advantages depending on the map type. Like, for example, certain maps have a lot of verticality, which means that characters like Winston and D.Va tend to have a better advantage and that sort of stuff. So we already have that. I don't think giving flat advantages would be a good idea. That's something we might end up seeing in Overwatch 2 with the co-op campaign modes. I mean, that certainly could work. Maybe, you know, it's probably going to be more in the form of talents and stuff like that. But for just regular competitive, no, I don't think that's a good idea at all. Next up, would you ever do a video explaining all the things you would change to make the game balanced? That's kind of interesting, and I have thought about it, but it would be a massive, massive video. We're talking something that would be over an hour long. It would take a very long time to actually make the video. Honestly, by the time I made all the changes and made everything, then Blizzard would probably have a new patch on the PTR that would just kind of mess everything up. So it's something that I would be interested in. I don't know if I'm ever actually going to be able to, though. Next up, do you think Genji is now playable? I mean, you can use him, I just don't see why you would really want to, because other DPS characters do what he can do, but better, right? If you're playing Dive, then you can just use Tracer. She's just going to do way more than Genji can. If you need some kind of a flanker or backline, you can run Doomfist or Sombra or something. If you just need pure damage, you can run a Hanzo or Widow or McCree or something. Like, there just really isn't much reason to run the character, because he just kind of got left all the way behind back with the release of the game, and he just hasn't kept up. So, I mean, yeah, you can use him, but I wouldn't. Next up, do you think Widow and Hanzo will make resurgence in the new update? I think there's a good possibility. It depends. If the enemies still end up running double barrier, whatever variation it is, Orisa Sigma, Reinhardt Sigma, or even Reinhardt Orisa, right? If they're running double barrier, then yeah, Widow probably not going to be the greatest. Hanzo might do a little bit better because he can Storm Arrow and help burst down the barriers, which are a lot weaker now, right? So that might be a little bit better. But if the enemy team is only running one barrier, if they're running like a Reinhardt Zarya, or if they're running like an Orisa Zarya or Orisa Hog or something like that, then yeah, Hanzo Widow going to be way better, and they're definitely going to see a lot more use. It really depends on what tanks end up being used. Next up, when is the winter event going to start in 2019? Best guess, probably December 10th to the 12th, somewhere in that range. I do have a video that I'm working on where I'll go over all of my winter event skin predictions and all that sort of stuff, and what we can expect from the upcoming event, so keep an eye out for that one. Next up, should Winston get an increase in melee attack? And I also had some other questions asking about different damages for different characters as far as the quick melee. And the answer, I think, for all of this should be no. Now, obviously, characters like Reinhardt and Brigitte get different damage because that's their primary source of attack. But when we're talking about a quick melee, I don't think that you really should have any sort of difference between the characters, because what can happen is you just get in close and then you just spam the quick melee button, and whoever has the higher quick melee is going to end up winning, right, in that situation. I don't think that's a good idea. Now, when you have certain characters, again, like Reinhardt or Brigitte, or even Winston and Genji when they're in their ultimate forms, yeah, you can give them extra damage because that's, you know, a special thing. But if we're just talking about quick melee, no, I think it should stay the same throughout all the characters. Next up, what do you think was the worst change the devs have made balance-wise? That would probably be when they initially added the Ironclad passive to Bastion. So this was a damage resistance that made you take less damage when you were in tank and sentry form. This was before Orisa even got added to the game, and she didn't have Fortify or nothing like that. So prior to that, the only thing you could get damage resistance from was Nano Boost. So they added this as a passive to Bastion. Well, by itself, it was really strong, but when you combined it with Nano Boost, it was just unbelievably good. Like, you could not get an elimination on Bastion. I think it pushed his damage resistance up to like 80 or 85%. He could, without exaggeration, he could actually survive not one, but two Diva ults at the same time. He could survive Hanzo, literally every single ult in the game. He could survive through it. There was almost, and if he had a healer, there was almost no way to actually eliminate the Bastion. It was ridiculous. So for like maybe a week or 2 weeks, Bastion was the absolute best DPS that you could possibly use in the game. Of course, since then, he's, you know, kind of dropped to the bottom where he's stayed. But, you know, that's another story. But anyways, yeah, so that was the problem. But here's the thing. We knew about this on the PTR, because I made a video testing it, I made a video showing it off, and I know some other people talked about it as well. I posted it on the forums, in the feedback section and all that. I'm like, you cannot let this go live. This is way too strong. This is absolutely... You know what? I'm going to actually link that video down below. You can go and check it out. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, he could survive everything. There was nothing that could eliminate him. It was just absurd. And the thing is, they knew about it, because they put it on the PTR, and we tested it, and we told them, don't push this live, and they did it anyways, and then they had to hotfix it because it was just absolutely ridiculous. That's going to be all the questions for this week. Thank you to everyone who submitted one. Remember, I post the question card every Saturday on the community tab of my YouTube channel. So if you want to ask a question, that's where it goes. And hopefully the next Respawn should be posted on time, which is on Sundays. Also, if you guys have not checked out Audible yet, again, you can get a free audiobook, plus you can get all of those great Black Friday sale deals because you're a member. You can sign up for free, link down below, check it out. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.